Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the show. We have an absolute legend with us today. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
To answer your question, my name is Marlon Brando. Most people know me as an actor, though I always like to think of myself as more of a seeker, someone just trying to find the truth in things, whether on a movie set or out in the world.
It is truly an honor, Marlon. Let's go back to the beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on April 3rd, 1924. The place was Omaha, Nebraska. It was a large wood-shingled house on a quiet street with these beautiful towering elm trees.
And what was your given name at birth?
It was Marlon Brando Jr., named after my father.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Not a very long one. My father was Marlon Brando Sr., so I just inherited it. Though within the family, I was almost never called Marlon. They called me Bud. It felt a little more grounded than the name I'd eventually see on movie posters.
What was your hometown like growing up?
Omaha, in the 20s and 30s, it had a certain rhythm. I remember the smell of fresh-cut hay and the lilies of the valley, but it was the winters I remember most. The sound of boots grating on that frozen, hard snow. We moved to Illinois when I was about 6, but those Nebraska roots always stayed with me.
What was your family life like?
It was complicated, to be honest. My mother, Dorothy, we called her Dodie, was a talented actress in the local theater, very eccentric and soulful. My father was a salesman, a tough man who wasn't easy to please. They both struggled with alcohol, which created a lot of turbulence and tension in the house. It wasn't the easiest environment, but it certainly shaped me.
What kind of kid were you?
I was a bit of a rebel, I suppose. I had a lot of energy and not much interest in following the rules. I was the kid who would ride a motorcycle through the high school hallways just to see what would happen, which, as it turns out, gets you expelled. I was always observing people, trying to understand what made them tick.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
My biggest fear was probably never being enough. My father was very critical. Nothing I did ever seemed to interest or please him. That creates a deep-seated anxiety in a child, the fear that you're fundamentally doing everything wrong.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I didn't have a clear roadmap. I loved animals. I'd spend hours on the farm imitating them just to get my mother's attention. Maybe I just wanted to be someone who could make people feel something. Or maybe I just wanted to be noticed.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
School and I didn't get along well. I was more interested in the social dynamics and the pranks. At the Shattuck Military Academy, where my father sent me to fix me, I once climbed the bell tower, removed a 150-pound clapper, and buried it 200 yards away. I even organized a search committee to find out who did it.
That is hilarious. What was your first job?
When I first got to New York City in 1943, I was just trying to survive. I worked as an elevator operator at a department store called Best & Co. I was also a waiter, a short-order cook, and a night watchman in a factory. You learn a lot about human nature when you're the one opening the elevator doors for it.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I think it was when I started studying with Stella Adler. She taught me that acting wasn't about, quote, putting on a character, but about finding the truth within yourself. I realized I had this well of emotion and observation that others didn't seem to tap into. I didn't want to just say lines. I wanted to be real.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Moving to New York to follow my sister Jocelyn. She was an actress, and I just sort of drifted there because I didn't know what else to do. It felt like a flight of fancy at the time, but it set my entire life in motion.
What was your biggest break?
It had to be the play A Streetcar Named Desire in 1947. Tennessee Williams was incredible. Before the audition, I actually fixed the plumbing and the light fuses in his house because everything was broken. Then I gave the reading, and it changed my world. That role, Stanley Kowalski, became the thing that defined me for a long time.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Mostly financial and internal. I was living out of a battered suitcase the size of a woman's overnight bag. I was trying to find my voice in a world that seemed very superficial. I wanted to be a conscientious artist, not just a pretty person for Hollywood.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Acting was often a love-hate relationship for me. There were many times, especially later on, where I felt like I was just a freak in a sideshow. I'd wonder why I was doing it. But then a project like The Godfather would come along and remind me of the power of the craft.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I was an omnivorous reader. I'd read everything from Krishnamurti to the latest novels. Also, I believed in total immersion. For my first film, The Men, I spent a month living in a veterans hospital ward in a wheelchair to understand what it meant to be a paraplegic. That kind of deep dive research was my routine.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
Maybe something with animals, or perhaps an inventor. I actually ended up with several patents later in life for tensioning drum heads. I always liked working with my hands and solving practical problems.
What was your life like before fame?
It was simple and a bit messy. I wore shabby clothes, I didn't care about the red carpet, and I was just a kid from the Midwest trying to figure out the method in New York City.
How did relationships change after success?
They became much more complicated. It's hard to know if people like you or the idea of you. I had 3 marriages and many relationships, but I often struggled to be the kind of presence in my children's lives that I wished I had from my own father.
Did fame bring happiness?
Not really. It brings comfort, sure, but it also brings a lot of noise. True happiness for me was more about the quiet moments. Spending time on my island, Tetiaroa, in French Polynesia. That was my sanctuary.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The loss of privacy and the way people treat you like an object. I remember at the Italian premiere of On the Waterfront, I found out they had dubbed my voice into Italian without my knowledge. I felt like I had lost control of my own art. It's a very alienating feeling.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
People thought I was difficult or unpredictable just for the sake of it. The truth was, I just had a pathological need for authenticity. If a scene felt fake, I couldn't do it. I wasn't trying to be a bad boy. I was trying to be honest.
What was your darkest moment?
There were family tragedies in the 90s that were incredibly painful. Things involving my children, Christian and Cheyenne. Those were the times I blamed myself deeply and felt that, despite all my success, I had failed where it mattered most.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I regretted not being a better father. I openly told the court during my son's trial that I felt we had failed him. It's a heavy thing to carry, knowing your own shadows might have touched the people you love.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
Stella Adler, without a doubt. She didn't just teach me how to act, she taught me how to see the world. And my mother, despite her struggles, she gave me that initial spark, that curiosity about the human spirit.
What was life like in your final years?
I became a bit of a recluse, living quietly in Los Angeles. I struggled with my health, obesity, and diabetes, which made getting around difficult. I spent a lot of time with my friend Michael Jackson at his ranch. He was very kind to me, even getting me a golf cart with a portable oxygen tank so I could see the trees and flowers.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was working on a script with a Tunisian director for a project called Brando and Brando. I was also supposed to voice my character again for a Godfather video game, though I only managed to record 1 line. And I did a voice for a little animated film called Big Bug Man, where I played a character named Mrs. Sour. My first time playing a woman.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on July 1, 2004, at the UCLA Medical Center in Los Angeles.
What happened?
It was respiratory failure from pulmonary fibrosis, along with congestive heart failure. I was 80 years old.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was quite the inventor. As I mentioned, I have patents for drum tuning technology. I loved the technical side of music and percussion.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Oh, there were so many. People loved to speculate about my love life and my eccentricities. One of the more persistent ones was about my bad boy behavior on sets. which was often just me refusing to memorize lines because I thought reading them from cue cards made the performance more spontaneous.
What was your most unique habit?
Probably the cue cards. I'd have them hidden everywhere, on other actors' chests, behind lamps, inside bowls of food. I felt it kept me from sounding rehearsed.
What was your favorite food?
I had a legendary appetite. I loved everything from hot dogs to fine Tahitian cuisine. I wasn't always the best at moderation, as my later years showed.
What was your favorite book?
I didn't have just one. I was fascinated by the works of Krishnamurti and anything that explored philosophy or the human psyche.
Did you have any known rivalries?
I wouldn't call them rivalries, but I had my moments with directors. I famously didn't get along with Bernardo Bertolucci after Last Tango in Paris. I felt manipulated, and that's something I didn't take lightly.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
When I broke my nose, I was boxing with a stagehand backstage during Streetcar because I was bored. He popped me good. I went back on stage with a bloody nose and black eyes, and my co-star, Jessica Tandy, just ad-libbed, "You bloody fool." People say that broken nose actually made my career because it gave me a rugged look.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
During the Godfather screen test, I didn't have any props. I just used shoe polish to darken my hair and stuff my cheeks with cotton balls to get that bulldog look for Vito Corleone. The studio didn't even realize it was me at first.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
Buying the island of Tetiaroa. It wasn't just a purchase, it was a commitment to a different way of life. It was 12 small islands, a private kingdom where I could just be Bud.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Don't chase the fame, chase the truth. If you're doing something just to be seen, you'll end up feeling like a freak in a sideshow. Find the thing that makes you feel alive and authentic, and do that. Everything else is just noise.
Marlon, this has been incredible. Before we sign off, do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with our listeners?
Just that life is a very brief rehearsal for a play that never quite opens. Be kind to each other, look for the truth in the small things, and don't take the show too seriously. It was a pleasure talking to you, Calvin. Thank you for having me.
And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. We've been talking with the one and only Marlon Brando. What a journey through the life of a man who truly changed the face of acting forever. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.